Today we are making some sock puppets. So to start with, you need some basic equipment. So you're going to need a plain sock or a pattern sock, basically a nice clean sock. So hopefully you've already done your design worksheet that gives you a bit of an idea of what you're aiming for, and then also gathering up all of your little bits and bobs that you have around the house that you think might work as decorative things for your sock puppet. So I've got things like, for example, some little buttons that I think will work really well for eyes. You could also use things like milk bottle tops or little cut little circles of felt. You could even just draw out a little eye on some paper, colour it in, and then cut it out and stick it on. So that's possible. I've also got some other bits and bobs. Pom-pom balls, a couple of feathers, some foam, some pipe cleaners, a little selection of ribbons, and some wool for possibly hair. One of the first things that we need to do is we're needing to cut out a little mouth support. So we're basically going to cut out an oval shape that's about the size of your hand. So you want kind of the same size as your fingers would be. So I tend to put my fingers down, put a little marker, little marker, little marker. So I've got three little markers there. So around my fingers. I'm going to draw around that to make that an oval shape so that we end up with something a little bit like that. So then we need to cut it out. Okay, so I've got my little oval. I'm going to bend it in half. Okay, so that's going to be our mouth. So this next bit, we're going to need some newspaper because we might get a little bit messy. I've turned the sock inside out, and we're then going to put some glue on the inside. So if you want it to bend like that, we need to put it flat on the sock like that inside out. So I've got some copy decks, but to be honest, really just your good old-fashioned PVA is the best thing to use. Okay, so we've turned our sock back inside out, and we've got the little piece of cardboard inside it, so we've already got a little mouth. We could always give him a little tongue, so that's what I thought we might do next. So I've got a little bit of felt, but you could use a bit of paper, a bit of card, a bit of ribbon, anything that you like, just to give your character a little bit of personality. So I'm just going to cut a little sort of tongue shape. I've got a little bit of a point there, so I'm going to just trim that off. And I'm going to stick that just in there, and I'm going to stick it down so that it can't flap up. So I'm just going to use that little bit of glue again. Put a little bit just on my sock, a little bit on my bit of felt. I don't need too much. That's going right in place there, and we'll let that dry. So I have a little bit of sponge that's just literally a cleaning sponge, a brand new cleaning sponge, just so it's nice and clean. I'm going to stick this onto the top of my cardboard piece just here, because what I want to do is I want to give my character like a bit of a head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it so that it's got a little concave section just on the inside there. That's what I'm going to do. Now we are going to pick some eyes, and we need a needle and thread. And if you need somebody to help, but we're just going to thread the needle like so. Tie a little knot in the end. So just through the circle. We're just going to tighten that knot there. So wrap it around your finger, pop it through the hole, bring it back through, and tighten it off. And that knot wants to go back on the same spot as the second knot, so we've got a little knot in there. We're going to do a little anchor stitch to start with. I'm just going to pick a little spot as to where I think we want the eyes, and I'm going to pull that through. And because we've knotted the thread, it won't pull through the sock, although I always find it's a really good habit to where you've got your little loop, so where I've knotted the end of that thread, if you open it up like so and put that through, it ties it off like a little anchor stitch. And I think I'm going to do one white eye with a little green center. I'm going to put him and him together to make our eye. So I'm threading through the holes. I'm going back down a second hole and I'm just looping into a bit of the fabric of the sock. So that's all I'm just doing, looping through, coming up through the hole and going back down through a little bit of the sock that we can grab there. Push through the hole and just follow the same path. You can always thread your needle through without catching the fabric, then catch a little bit, poke it through and come all the way back out. Now, because I want to put this guy on top, then I'm going to come through one of the holes so that my thread's coming out through the button this side. And then I'm coming through this button, back through its hole. You can keep them separate for a moment. And then I'm going to go back through and I'm going to catch a little bit of fabric behind. So we're going through and through, and that's just going to secure that button onto the other button. And then we want to poke through a hole, see if we can kind of wiggle it through so it's going through both holes of both buttons, poking through, coming back and coming down. Now I tend to quite like to do like a little secure wrap. So I wrap that round, come through. These are all just things to secure the stitch. So we're just going to thread that through. I'm going to then tie that off with a little knot. It doesn't need to be super, super secure. So I'm just doing that like a little bow. So just tying that through, and I'm actually going to go round the button like so, and I'm going to tighten that off like so, and I'm going to cut the rest of that thread off. Is your button nice and secure? You can also, if you'd prefer glue gun or PVA, but glue gun's probably your best bet. You can glue something on there instead. If you don't want to have to stitch it on, that's possible. So there we go, that's my first eye. We have his foam in, we've got his tongue in, we've put one of his eyes on, so we'll put another eye on, we'll maybe get some hair on it, and then we've got a puppet ready to create some stories with. Now we have some eyes on our little puppet. We need to put a little hairdo. Well, I fancy putting a little hairdo on him. So I've cut a little bit of wool and I've just wrapped it around the middle, and I'm going to sew that onto the top. I did contemplate putting some little ears on him, but I think I'm going to keep him really nice and simple. So I'm just going to thread that through the little hole and out again. Pull that on, and then we're going to just catch the edge of this, come through. I'm going to find the end again, poke it through the little hole here. Make sure this is sandwiched through, and I'm just going to tighten that all up. This little tail that we've got at the top here we can cut off because we don't need him. And I'm going to just thread that through again, through the sock and around the outside. And you can, if you want to, like spike him up, and you can stitch it through there so that he stands up a bit more proudly. But I quite like it as like a little bow, so I think I'm going to keep it almost like a little bow hairdo. I'm going to keep that there, and I'm going to chop off the end. So I'm just going to just secure my stitch again, just by coming around the back and doing a little knot like so. We can cut that off. I'm going to give him a little haircut, and that is going to be my little hairdo for this chap. So the hair is on, the eyes are on, the tongue is in, and we have a little puppet, a little sock puppet. And now it's time for you to create whatever you want. whatever story you want. You can make more sock puppets, have a little gang of them if you want. I've also got a Pinterest page that gives you some inspiration for other sock puppets that you might like to try. But that is a simple tutorial as to a really, really basic, quick and easy puppet that you can create in just a few minutes. I hope you enjoy.